Right, so hopefully that should be it. And
Oh, yeah.
right, evening everybody. Uh, Welcome to another episode of my interview podcast. Believe it or not, I've been doing this 6 months. I still don't have a name for it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we will have to come up with a name for these interview podcasts. But joining me this evening is a very, very special guest and a great member of the Destiny community. Uh, we have Chevy with us. How are you doing?
Yo, what up? Hi. Hello. Good evening. It's been a journey the last couple days here.
Uh, well,
But
yeah,
we're alive and kicking though.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's uh, that's the thing, isn't it? How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, on the grand scheme of things, I'm doing pretty good. I just gotta deal with my recent PC
Oh
issues that I just got, and then
yeah.
once I get that all up and running, I'll be very happy. But aside from that, I mean, I'm doing good. We had a pretty good reset on Destiny. Pretty big surprise actually. I don't know if you did the new mission yet.
I haven't, but I actually did have your stream on, and
Hmm.
they they kept that one quiet, which is a shock because usually things come out quite.
So, I mean, I try to avoid spoilers as much as I can, especially big ones like that, because I like the surprise, right? I think the surprise factor and the surprise element kind of make it even better. And when you
Yeah,
know everything that's going to happen, it's just kind of like, well, now you're just waiting for it, and then
yeah,
it's just like, well, I want it now because I already know that it's a thing.
yeah.
And I think people knew that it was coming, but I don't think they knew it was
Oh
gonna be this week. Because
yeah.
everybody that had, like, raid secrets and whatnot, they didn't know it was gonna be this week. Um, I
No,
mean, I it took me almost 2 hours after reset, like, an hour and a half after reset before I was even told that it was a thing. So
yeah,
it's not like something that people just immediately found.
no, because well, obviously it was just that extra door was open in the nightfall.
Mhm.
So
Well,
yeah,
it's any arms dealer strike. So, I mean, most people went into arms dealer right away because they wanted to farm the palindrome, which I haven't
yeah,
done yet.
no, you're
And of
right.
course, we've done arms dealer so many times. You just clear the enemies, you hit the little scanner, and then you just move on. And I mean, when I went in there, like kind of knowing what to do, I immediately just passed it. They're like, turn around, it's in the first room. I'm like, oh, I had to turn around and um, but yeah, I mean that was a pretty big unexpected surprise. Um, they revealed the exotic right away. It was in collection, so I thought that was kind of sad. I thought it would have been kind of cool to like actually
Ye-
see what it was.
Yeah, because there was a little when they brought the roadmap out. Obviously, there was the Tex Mechanica logo symbol thing. So I'm thinking, oh, brilliant! It's Tex, and I love how the Tex Mechanica weapons look. Uh,
Hmm.
but like you say, it was in the collections. It was sort of
Yeah, I mean, somebody like probably 20 minutes after reset, they're like, "Yo, look in the exotic collections. It's already in there."
yeah,
Or like somebody is like, "Yo, we know what the new exotic is." I'm like, "Well, did you guys data mine it or is it in the game?" They're like, "Look in collections," and I'm like, "Oh, it's literally right here."
yeah,
Which I think is, I think that was like a little bit of a missed surprise, but it wasn't that big of a deal. It's
yeah,
not enough to like be like, "Well, I'm not going to run it anymore." But
yeah,
it was a lot of fun. I just loaded in by myself and just tried to figure everything out. Naturally, the very first thing I did when I loaded in was found a way out of bounds.
yeah. I saw. I did see you and Gladden that having a little wander about and poking your nose around different places. But it looks like there could be some secrets or something else is going to be. I've got a feeling it could be a little bit like the Outbreak mission where there's like a harder level of it. But who knows? There's that many different doors and levers and whatnot. You just don't know. You just do not
So
know.
I think we've kind of deciphered what is likely going to happen. So there's a lot of data pads around the map, around the activity, and you can only pick up one right now. And I
Mm,
think it's because it's time gated. So
yeah,
as like the weeks progress throughout the season, you'll be able to unlock more and more and more. And
yeah,
as you unlock them, you'll be able to pick up more data pads, and the data pad will actually open a nearby door, which will have a random chest. But I don't think the chest drops anything. I think it's just like just a chest, right?
yeah,
Um, and then what I'm assuming is going to happen is after we get all, I think it's 12 data pads, and after we get all 12 of those chests and everything, I think we'll unlock the final triumph, and we'll unlock a final door in the claim room. And the claim room, I think, is gonna. Um, I won't say anything just in case anybody didn't see it. I mean, we saw it via Ubing, and they talked about it during the mission, but
yeah.
something that I thought was super cool that I had no idea about. Anybody that's like into lore, they're gonna think it's really juicy.
So it's not Cade
So
6 then?
it is not Cade 6, but if you didn't hear, there is RNG dialogue throughout the activity,
I,
and Cade 6 is one of the dialogues.
I,
He
I
actually
heard
has some words to say.
I heard there was uh, different dialogues going through. So
Different characters. There's different characters. Like the Crow as Aldrin, not the Crow. It's
yeah,
Cade 6. The Callus talks. I mean, there's tons of different people, right?
mm,
So that's kind of interesting because we like talked about it briefly. I wonder if like that was just like old stuff that they had saved up, or did they have somebody else, do a new voiceover for Cade 6?
yeah,
And if they did, why would they do that for just like one little narrative piece? It makes you think like, is it possible that we might be, you know, figuring something out with Cade 6 or something like that?
mm,
Cade 7. I mean,
well,
Cade 6
yeah,
rebooted would just be Cade 7.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, definitely.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know enough about lore to like really get into it, but
Yeah,
it's
that's
intriguing.
Bife's expertise.
Segura as well. Yep, that's right. Which is interesting because Segura is no longer with us, of course, because
Yeah,
she got shit on.
yes. Right, so
RIP.
Oh, yeah.
we if you're new, obviously, to my channel and you've not seen one of these interview podcasts before, basically, I just ask my guests lots of questions. They answer, we have a laugh, and that's basically it. But what I'll say from the start, so I can see lots of people followed, hosted, and stuff, and I will get through them now before we get into the interview. So we have Scruff, Torino, Bold Crusher, Chevy, Kenner
What up?
TV, Miss Kenner. Thank you for the host, Chevy. Scruff with a raid, Pikachu with a host, Loki with a follow. Is that Denise with a follow? Reaper, thank you for gifting that sub to Chevy. Leviton, Maldoza, Aza, Mark the Shark, Wickedy. I'm going to butcher some of these names and I do apologise. uh, Jergulea P, I think that says. And then we've got Big Booty hosting. Wow, how many people? Uh, Amadua and
Amado.
Amador, thank you.
Mhm.
And Reaper gifting a sub to Miss Kenner. Thank you very much. And the governor coming in with a host. So that's all of them out of the way. So if anyone's coming and do drop a follow, what I try to do is I try to do them in between the categories so we don't break up the questions and the chat that we're going through. So there'll always be a time where I'll thank people. And wow, there's even more coming through. Right, so Pikachu,
Pikachu.
Pikachu coming in with 5, 1, 2,
Oh
3, 4, 5,
yeah.
gifted subs. Thank you very much. And Vaquilla, I hope I've said that right. Thank you for the follow. Right, let's crack on. So the first category is getting to know yourself better, Shabby.
Oh God.
So yes. So away from streaming, away from Destiny, this is you. So
Me.
yes, all about you this evening. So first of all, in case people don't know in chat, whereabouts are you from?
I am from America. I live in the state of Wisconsin. It is quite cold here right now. I think it's like the last time I checked, it was like -8 degrees Celsius. It might, or
Wow.
not Celsius, Fahrenheit. Oh no, we're up to 19 degrees Fahrenheit right now. Let's go. So it's actually we're in the middle of a heat wave in the middle of winter, which is pretty cool. I'm gonna have to toss on some shorts after this. But I've lived in Wisconsin for many, many, many years. I was born in Nevada. It's something that a lot of people don't know. So I was born in Nevada, and then I moved around the states quite a bit when I was really, really young, and basically ended up in Wisconsin when I was about 4 or 5 years old, and I've lived here ever since then.
Yeah.
Never traveled outside of the states other than I did one tour in Iraq because I was part of the U.S. Army for a couple years, and I did one tour in Iraq, 2009. Um, I have been gaming for a very long time, ever since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember playing Atari. I remember playing regular Nintendo, Super Nintendo, 64, all of that. When I started like getting into high school, I was on a bigger sports kick than I was like gaming, so I didn't really get to do too much gaming in that era. So like the Halo and OG COD days, I wasn't really too big into gaming then. I mean, I still gamed on the side. Diablo
Yeah.
2, it's my favorite game actually, and it's getting remastered, and I cannot be any more excited. You ever played that game?
I haven't. No, it's
Oh,
my
so
friend. My
good.
friends have all played it, and they keep mentioning it to me. So now,
It's well,
I've got
it's
my gaming laptop and stuff. I may give it a
yeah.
try.
Well, it's an ARPG as well. You can only have 8 people in a like an instance or like a lobby.
Yeah.
But it's like there's not like a vast amount of content. There's just so much loot.
Mm.
And it's just like in order to get like your perfect build, you just have to spend so much time. If you're trying to do it by yourself, it's just loot. I want more loot, man.
Yeah.
um But I mean, I started playing Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2. I gamed Modern Warfare 2 for quite a while, and then I moved on to Black Ops. Didn't like it, so I went back to Modern Warfare 2,
Yeah.
Black Ops 3, and then I think after that is when I went to. I think after that is when I don't know. My timeline's all over the place, but I played COD mostly, and I played Diablo 2 a little bit during that time frame. And then I eventually moved to PC gaming, and I played a little bit of Overwatch and H1Z1. I freaking missed that game. So many bugs
Yes.
and a smaller player base, but holy crap, I had a lot of fun in that game. And then I went to RuneScape for a little bit,
Oh yeah.
and then got into Destiny essentially.
Cool. That's
But
quite a bit.
yeah, I mean, definitely a decent bit. I played football and rugby in high school. Rugby is definitely my favorite sport. I love it. It's just so chaotic.
Yes.
It's extremely rough, and anybody that doesn't know rugby, it's unfortunate. Imagine a football that doesn't stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Essentially,
It's big here in the UK as rugby.
yeah,
Well, there's
yeah. It's not
two
as
different
big in the
types.
U.S. I wish it was. I wish it was bigger in the U.S., but
But well,
it's definitely
it's only
not.
the same with us with us and American football. Obviously, isn't as big, or basketball to be fair over here. But I, I enjoy watching American football. I watched the Super Bowl. Was it last weekend? Was it the weekend
Something
before?
like that. Yeah, I think it
Yeah,
was last weekend.
I,
I don't know.
I, I enjoy
I've
it.
kind of fallen off the football train. I used to be super into it, but then I've just kind of fallen off of it. Just like I'm a Packers fan. For anybody that does watch U.S. football, I'm a Packers fan, so I did typically watch them, but I haven't been as invested in watching
Oh,
sports lately. It's
yeah.
just
Yeah.
I just read the game.
So what
Read the
was like?
game and watch other people game.
Yeah. Well, so what was life growing up? School life, friends. What did you enjoy doing
Mhm.
as a kid growing up?
Well, I had 3 sisters, 1 older, 2 younger. I was the only boy. And then I had my mom, so I basically grew up with 4 girls my entire life, so that was definitely amazing. It was always, fun trying to get into the bathroom
Yeah.
because 4 girls growing up with them. And then I had a dog, of course. When I was younger, I spent a lot of time outside, which is like the opposite of what kids do nowadays.
Yeah.
So some of my best memories are like biking and rollerblading with all of my buddies and like just like going outside and playing just like schoolyard football and stuff like that.
Mm.
Actually, a little fun fact that I don't think I've ever said. When I was in middle school, I actually used to like school would start at about 8 o'clock, 8 a.m. And most people would start to go to school around 7:30ish, right? Get there a little bit before, make sure they're not late.
Yeah.
And in middle school, they didn't let us inside the school until like it was actually time to go to school. So at 8 o'clock, the doors would open and then everybody could go in, go to your lockers and change and everything, get out of your snow pants or whatever if it was in the winter.
Mm.
So basically everybody would be outside on the playground, the swings, or shooting hoops, basketball, whatever. And me and a bunch of people would literally get to school at 6 a.m. And the
6
reason why we
a.m.
would do that is because we would play football for like an hour and a half before school.
Yeah.
So we would get there super early. And winter was always the best because winter meant snow. Snow meant it wasn't just concrete and cement on the ground.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
could actually play tackle football until the teachers got there.
Yeah. And then
And
you'd
then as
go.
soon as the teachers got there, you guys can't be doing that. Somebody's going to get hurt. And we're like, all right. So
Walking
we
with
go
your
back to doing.
soggy school uniform.
Yeah. Well, no, we didn't. Well, we didn't have uniforms, but of course, in
Ah,
the winter, like you have snow pants and everything. So I mean, you have extra padding and stuff to number one keep you warm, but also keep you dry.
yeah.
And then as soon as 8 o'clock, the bell would ring, we'd go inside. We would have to take our snow boots off and everything, um, and then we'd put it in our lockers, and then we would just go to class. So it didn't really interfere with anything as far as like we didn't have uniforms or anything like that. I grew up in a very small town. It was only 4,500 people.
Yeah.
So my class was about 123 people, my graduating class. So it was very small. So everybody knew everybody pretty much. But did a lot of sports, middle school and high school. Um, I mean, I in high school, I was actually first team all conference for offensive tackle, and I was second team all conference for defensive tackle. I played on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
If you are familiar with U.S. football, so there's that. And I mean, I think one of my biggest memories from a kid is I grew up. I remember 5th grade. I grew up during the Pokemon era. So when
Yes.
Pokemon first started, and I got in so much trouble with bringing my Pokemon cards and trading cards and everything, and a bunch of friends bringing them, and we'd all be sitting there trying to trade and
Yeah.
battle and everything, and teachers always like pay attention, and we're like no.
Yeah.
So did that, and I remember just every day after school, the bell would ring at like 3:15, and I would have to run a mile and a half home to make sure that I could get there by 3:30 so that I could watch the next episode of Pokemon because that's when it was all. If you don't watch it, there's no DVR. You have to wait until Saturday to rewatch it, and I wasn't about that life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Saturday was my day to watch other cartoons, not Pokemon.
And by the time you've got to watch it, all your mates at school and stuff have told you what's happened.
Yeah, that was the worst part. Like, you miss one because, like, you have an appointment or something, and it was like, "Oh my god, did you watch Pokemon yesterday?" I'm like, "No." They're like, "Oh, it was so cool, this happened." And I was like, "Oh, I missed it. I'll watch it on Saturday, I guess."
Yeah, yeah. I don't miss those times. Yeah, I grew up in this similar times, and in the UK, used to have used to be
Oh,
an hour and a half
yeah.
of kids' TV after school, and then that was it. There was no kids channels, no Nickelodeon, no this that, and the other, and you only had like two
Oh,
and a half hours of kids channels
yeah.
on a
Yep.
Saturday morning, and that was it. If you
Ugh,
missed anything, you just did
yep.
without because they didn't repeat it, or you had to have your mates tell you what happened.
Yeah, I remember, like, typically weekends are, like, your days to sleep in a little bit longer, like, wake up at 9, 10 o'clock or something like that, right? Instead of
Yeah,
waking up at, well, for me, it was, like, 5:30 in the morning or whatever, but, um, I thought it was really funny how Saturdays I would still wake up really early just so I could binge watch all of the shows. I
yeah,
could watch, the Power Rangers were really big back then, and
yes,
you had, Digimon after a little while started coming out, and I liked um the initial series or seasons of Digimon, and then it started getting too crazy for me, and they started getting too old.
yeah,
And then of course you could rewatch Pokemon if you wanted to. Um, Nickelodeon, I miss Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, all of those. So many. I would much rather continue to grow up in like that time frame than grow up in a modern day time frame.
yeah,
I talk about this semi frequently. It's just like as much as I love the technology and just like the ease of being able to contact everybody and hop in Discord and play games with anybody all over the world, there's just so many life experiences that I had as a kid that I just wouldn't want to I just wouldn't want to give up.
that's the
Like I
same.
remember go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I have the same discussions with. I've got a 14 and 11-year-old kids,
Hmm.
and I have the same conversation with them every day because they're there on the phone, or he's playing Warzone 8 hours a day in his bedroom. Like, don't get me wrong, he's good at it, but and I'm like, you realise we had no mobile phones. If we wanted to speak to our friends, we had to pick the landline up, ring their house, and hope the parents
Hmm.
didn't answer because they usually put the phone down. Or you had to go walk out the house across the village and actually knock on their door. I says, but we used to go make rope swings over the rivers or get the football and go to the field every single day. I says,
Yep.
you lot, you're there on Skype or Zoom or whatever they're using now, and you don't even leave the house. I says it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, one of my just like awkward, not really awkward, but like unexpected memories as a kid is I still remember my best friend's telephone number.
Yeah,
My like his home landline. I'm not gonna say it, of course, but I still remember his landline telephone number because I used to call him all the time and be like, "Yo, let's go play, let's go,
yeah,
let's go biking, let's go do this. Yo, what are you doing?" And I still remember one of my best friends, childhood best friends, telephone numbers and talking to him. Um, and kids nowadays will not ever get to, well, I mean, not ever, but they don't get to experience the pain of beating a boss and forgetting to save. Oh my god, you ever experienced that?
God,
Like, like playing like Final Fantasy 7 or something, and you beat this boss that you've been struggling for nights on, and you beat the boss and you're like, "Yes!" And then, like, either you, like, knock it and then, like, it shuts off or, your mom comes and unplugs it or,
yeah,
just
yeah,
whatever. You
yeah,
beat the boss and you're so excited, and then for whatever reason, you just didn't get the opportunity to save. Maybe you just forgot. Right? You're like,
yeah.
"Oh, I'm gonna keep gaming. I'm not gonna save yet." And then, like, you get defeated, and it's like, "I have to do it all again."
I
Like,
know,
the
I
pain
know.
that came along with that.
Yeah, I was trying to explain, obviously, to kids again. Like, I had a Sega Mega Drive and Sonic the Hedgehog, and it was
Hmm.
a case of if you ran out of lives, that was it. Straight back to the beginning. So there was no saves. I says you had to do it in one sitting if you wanted to get to the end.
Right.
But yeah, the
It was
things
rough, man.
things were a lot better back then, in my opinion.
Just so
But
many life experiences that I would never want to give up.
Oh,
yeah,
That's pretty much all it
yeah.
comes down to. I mean, what I was gonna say earlier that I forgot for a second is a couple years ago, I used to bounce at a campus bar. I used to be a bouncer, so like underagers and breakup fights and all that crap.
yeah,
And I was one of my good friends at the time. She just turned 21, and she was a really small girl, and she lived on campus, and campuses all over, all over are sometimes not very safe, especially at 2:30,
Oh,
3 o'clock in the morning. So
yeah.
I would walk friends home because they're typically on the way because I lived on the other side of campus.
yeah.
So I would sometimes walk some of my friends home, and this girl, I was walking her home one night, and she found this bike, and she's like, "Oh my god, look at that bike!" And I was like, "Go grab it." So she grabbed it, and then she's like, "I don't know how to ride a bike," and I just completely shut down. I was like, "You don't know how to ride a bike?" And she's like, I was never taught how to ride a bike." I'm like, "You're serious?" And I just think about that. Like, imagine how many kids nowadays just never have rollerbladed or roller skated,
Yeah,
have never like rode bikes, have never, just went out and shot hoops in the driveway or any of this stuff, have never went out and played field football, like I said. And just like all of these childhood experiences that we have, imagine how many kids that just don't get to experience that stuff anymore. It's so crazy
yeah,
because like life is just so much different now.
yeah,
It's
definitely.
just so much different. They just I mean, I was definitely young and dumb, emphasis on the dumb, and I definitely got in a lot of trouble. But I mean, those are all experiences that, obviously help develop the person. But just experiences that I just wouldn't trade because they're just so amazing. They're just so good.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So you've mentioned a bit about your family, uh, sisters, and your mum.
Hmm.
Uh, but apart from obviously not being able to get
Oh,
into the bathroom,
yeah.
what was it like with your family as well? Oh, your family growing up all now. What's family life like?
Um, I don't know. I don't really talk to them as much as I probably should. Usually because I'm pretty busy and they got a lot of stuff going on as well.
Yeah,
And they live a couple hours away, so if I have to go see them, then it's a couple hour drive there and then back, of course.
mm,
But I mean, we all if we ever need anything, we're always there for one another and whatnot. They did move to Texas for a couple years, so for a while I was the only person living here in Wisconsin.
yeah,
um and I just didn't get to see them for a couple of years, but like we still stay in contact, and if they need help, I do my best to help them out if I can. um and I don't
Oh,
know, they never really got into
yeah.
video games, so I was the gamer. My older sister was the rebel. She was the one that she used to skip school all the time, and
ah,
she didn't graduate because she was like extra rebellious, right? Because she's older
yeah,
than me. Um so she went through all of that. And my middle sister, which is the first younger sister, she was the smart one that was supposed to, she actually had a scholarship to go to law school, and then ended up having to turn it down because she ended up having a kid and
ah,
having a shitty husband, unfortunately, and it kind of like ruined her plans there. But she was like the one that was like the big brain one, and then
yeah.
my youngest sister is the hellion. She's the oh god, don't talk about her. But ironically enough, like pretty much everything flip-flopped once they all got older. Now my youngest is actually the
Oh,
one that is the
yeah.
most successful of the three, and
Yeah,
um, she's been doing a good job. I've been trying to help her out with like life decisions because I'm the big brother, so she
Yeah.
comes to me for advice and stuff. And half the time I'm like, I don't know what to do, so talk to somebody else.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It wasn't really. We all have a couple years between each other, so it's not like we were like super close or anything as far as age and whatnot. But just nothing too worthwhile. Nothing extraordinary that popped out or anything
Yeah.
as far
So
as us and family.
yeah. So moving away from family and growing up, uh, say like for example, I know you're talking to me tonight, but having a night off from streaming or playing video games, uh, and you get to put your feet up on the sofa, you've got the TV in front of you with Netflix, movie channels, whatever. What's your favourite TV show or films that you'd love to just sit and chill out? What's your favourite?
So I was actually just asked this question very recently by somebody that I won't expose because I'm mad at her. And
Ah,
she's in
okay.
chat. Just kidding. Um, she likes to ask these questions like, "What are your top 3 movies?" And I'm like, honestly, I don't really have like a top 3 of like pretty much anything as far as movies or music or I mean games is different.
Yeah,
Diablo 2 without a doubt. But there's just so many good movies, so many different genres, so many good songs and artists and stuff that it's hard to just say, this is my favorite, this is my top 3. It's like, well, but they also like I don't know, like I like the Adventure series. I grew up watching the Fast and the Furious series.
yeah.
I'm a Harry Potter fan, but I'm not like a super Harry Potter freaking I don't even know what they're called.
So,
I'm not like
whoa,
a
whoa,
super fanboy or anything.
hang on. So you didn't draw a little thing on your forehead with some glasses?
Oh no, no. No.
Oh, yeah.
But there's just so many good movies that are out there, like Super Troopers and I don't know. I'm always just watching different things. Like I love the Marvel series,
Ah,
like watching
yeah,
Flash and the Arrow and DC and all of that, right? Like I like just I like everything for the most part. I'm currently watching The Blacklist, which is actually something I did not think I was going to be interested in.
yeah.
But it's a blacklist, which is like basically just you have one of the top 10 FBI's most wanted fugitives who've turns himself in and has his side agenda, but makes a deal with the FBI to give them some of the most ruthless and just the worst criminals that are under everybody's radar. So he makes like a side deal with them and then has like his own side thing that he does. It's pretty cool how he like plays so many different avenues. I don't know. I'm very intrigued by it.
Yeah,
And it's definitely a good show. I would definitely recommend it if you like something that's kind of like it keeps you on your feet. And one thing that I really respect about that series especially is they always leave you with a massive cliffhanger at the end of every episode.
so there's more questions than you've had answers.
It's it's kind of like each episode is about like one fugitive, one blacklister. So
Yeah,
they like this is the person, this is what he does, this is how you catch him. Okay, now go catch him. And while you're catching him as an FBI agent, he's doing that for a side agenda, which like you learn and develop throughout the series. But it's more so at the end of the show, it's just like this massive um just a massive bomb that gets dropped on you and you're like, wait, what? Okay, now I have to watch the next episode.
yeah,
That type of thing. It's like it doesn't like add more questions, it adds one massive question. Like, why the hell would that happen? All right, now I gotta find out. And I did
yeah.
that the other night for like 4 hours, and I'm like, okay, I have to go to bed. And I just stopped in the middle of an episode because I just kept getting hooked. It was crazy.
Yeah,
It
I've
was
done
like
that
5 o'clock
before.
in the morning, and I was like, "Oh my god, I gotta go to bed."
Yeah, so for whatever reason, even though I love Star Wars, I didn't watch The Mandalorian when it first came out. Uh, busy with real life stuff, I suppose. So I started watched an episode. It turned into two, and three, and four,
Hmm.
and like you said, next thing I knew, it was like 5:30 in the morning, and I'm like, shit. And I've watched the whole first series, and I'm like, the second one's there. Oh no, I can't. I've got to go to bed. I can't watch the second series. So it's still on me. It's still sat on me. Well, my PS5 that's just behind me
Hmm.
on my on the Disney Plus. So I will get to finish it eventually. But
Yeah.
so away from TV, films, and that, I think you sound a very active person. But what do you like to do just to relax? So
Well, I
I
mean,
know it's difficult at the moment. Obviously, the world's
right.
on its backside at the minute. But
Yeah, I mean, right now there's just a lot of gaming, pretty much gaming, and then
mm,
and watching TV. And I invested in like a small home gym, so I have like a treadmill and some weights and stuff that I
all
do in the
right, yeah,
garage. Just because I don't want to go to the actual gym, just because I think we all know why. Um,
yes,
and I'm just doing my best to just try to avoid it as much as I possibly can. And if I can, I'm going to avoid it. Um, just because when I was it's actually a fun fact, when I was younger, not so fun fact, but a fact, when I was younger, I had really bad asthma. My lungs were actually too small,
yeah,
and they weren't able to work as efficiently, especially when I was really active in sports and whatnot. So I actually couldn't, in middle school, I couldn't participate in school sports. I could only do like sports like with friends and stuff like that, and I wasn't even
yeah,
supposed to. um and I had to do like a breathing machine and everything, which would basically give me this like a nebulizer, which would actually pump like steroids into me to make my lungs grow quicker,
yeah,
so that I could kind of, I mean, adapt, right? So I've always had kind of like asthma, respiratory issues, so that's a big reason why I'm like overly cautious, I guess, with everything going on, and the fact that I like food and I don't want to not be able to taste food, so.
yeah,
But I mean, right now I just do a lot of. I'm honestly always gaming. I put so many hours in video games. If I'm not streaming, I'm usually not gaming Destiny 2, because that's a really good game to stream, but it's not a very good game for me as a content creator to game while streaming and game afterwards, unless I'm
yeah,
like hopping into a streamer's like I'm always in Twitch chat, unless I'm on like on the couch or whatever. I
yeah,
always have somebody's chat open. I'm always watching, lurking, things like that. And if they're playing Gambit, they need one more. I might hop in for a match or two, and that's about all I can bear. If they're looking for one for a raid and they're struggling to find somebody, I'm like, okay, I'll hop in,
yeah,
or I'll just hang out in chat, whatever. Final Fantasy 14 is my biggest side game that I'm playing right now. I've actually have more hours in Final Fantasy 14 since I started playing it than I do Destiny 2. So that's kind of crazy.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I had seen you mention about Final Fantasy 14.
2,400 hours, and it's been
Wow,
less than a year. It's been less than a year, and I have 2,400 hours in it. And I have
wow,
3,200 in Destiny since it came to Steam. So in a year and a half, I have 3,200 in Destiny. But yeah, so I mean, I'm pretty much always gaming. If I'm not
Oh
gaming, I'm usually
yeah.
like doing things for stream, like talk, either this or like I said, hanging out in streams or working on sponsorships or anything like that.
yeah,
Calls, meetings, whatever. But I mean, that's pretty much what I do. I'm always I've been on Twitch since 2013, so it's been a really big part of my life.
yeah,
Like over the last decade, I would say.
yeah. So how did you come about with the name Chevy?
It's my name. Well, it's basically my name. So my
Right,
first name, my first name is James, which a lot of people actually don't know that. It's not like it's a secret or anything. I don't really hide it, but I don't like openly flaunt it.
right,
And since fourth grade, I have been called Chevy, and it's because My teacher could not pronounce my last name correctly, so she's like, "I'm gonna call you Chevy because it's easier." I'm like, "All right, whatever." And my fourth grade teacher was also my sixth grade teacher, and she ended up just calling me Chevy for those 2 years, and then from there it just stuck, and it just basically became me. Literally, nobody that I know calls me by my first name. The only time I ever use my first name is if it's like a like DMV or like something like that. Or when I was at work, like customers before like I streamed, I was a full-time sales associate,
Yeah.
and I would tell them my first name, not Chevy, but that's basically my name.
Oh,
So not
cool.
really anything creative with that. That's just like all of my teachers throughout all of high school, all of my friends, my family, everybody that knows me, literally everybody that knows me calls me Chevy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's basically who I am.
Well, my my real name's Daryl, but ever since I was small, I've always been called Daz as a nickname, and
Gotcha.
even my mum, my granddad, my nan, they all call me Daz as well. The only time
Hmm.
I get called by my proper name is if I'm in trouble.
Yeah, that's when you know you're in trouble.
Yeah, yeah. If I can hear my name, then I know I'm in trouble. Right, so uh, we'll go over to the next category, but as I said at the beginning, uh, we'll go through because this has been the alerts have been sounding in my ear, left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
So let's go with Alec D2, Baddie Maddie, Uncle Puppet, Pinkleys, Thick Pappy. Thank you for the follows. One of your fanboys, Grandad Gaming, in with a massive raid. Thank you very much, Grandad. Viper, Antarctic Wizard, Fellwinter, Moggy, Mother of Cats, thank you for the follows, and Skull Rider, thank you very much for the host. Right, so that is all that lot out of the way. So the next category is gaming. So gaming in general. So start off with, what was the first game that you ever played?
Honestly, could not tell you. Something on Atari. That's all I know. I remember like Cubert.
Oh
I
yeah.
remember like Centipede.
Oh
But
wow.
honestly, I could not tell you what the very first game I ever played is. Um, One of the first games that I ever like grinded, I guess you could say, was like Super Nintendo. I was pretty big into Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Um, Donkey Kong Country, I think it was number 3 was my favorite of them.
Mm,
Mario, I fucking loved Mario so much. I
yeah.
played so much Mario when I was a kid.
Super Mario
Mario All
World.
Star and everything. Yes, Super Mario World, all of that.
Yeah.
Um, I played so much Mario, Bubble Bobble.
Oh yeah.
I I I thoroughly enjoyed Bubble Bobble. Yeah, I don't know. A bunch of those games. I could not tell you what like my very first one was. I played so many. I don't know.
So, you probably answered it there. So, the next one was, what was your first games console? So, I'm guessing it was the Atari.
So the first one that I owned was a Nintendo, a regular Nintendo. I never actually
Mm.
owned an Atari. My aunt actually, well, my cousin technically owned it. My aunt got my cousin one, so I would go over there all the time and play with them. And then I eventually got a regular Nintendo as my first console, and that's what I played. Duck Hunt. I remember Duck Hunt as
Duck
well. A
Hunt
lot of
with
that.
the grey and orange gun.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember very vividly where I would take the gun and put it directly on the screen so I wouldn't miss.
That's one way of doing it.
Yeah.
Uh, so, what's the most favorite game you've ever played? So,
Definitely. Well, I mean, I still gotta say Diablo 2. Like I said, there's not like a ridiculous amount of content. It's literally just doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over. Like
Yeah.
it's not really anything like different. But there's just so much loot and there's so many like small different things you can do. It's basically just go kill a boss and it has a chance of dropping, a unique item or a high rune, and you could do something else to get like socketed armor, just stuff like that. There's just so much loot and so many things that you can make with everything, and there's crafting, and the end game was all about loot pursuit, and there's just so much, man. And it hooked me for sure. There was also another game that I really, really, really enjoyed playing, but it was a very small game. It was a game called Zenimus, um, which I don't even know what it would be considered. I guess it's considered a MMO, definitely considered an MMO, but it was a much
Yeah.
smaller game. I put a lot of hours into that as well, and I got in a lot of trouble with that. That was a game that I actually, when I was a kid, I actually used to make a lot of money off that game as a
Yeah.
kid. Like people would spend a ridiculous amount of money to buy stuff from you. Like PayPal. Like you find a super rare ring and somebody would pay like $1,000 for it. And
What?
I actually made a lot. Yeah, crazy, so crazy. And it was a very small player base. Not saying like it was only like 100 or something, but it was, I don't know, maybe 1,000, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
There's some crazy stuff though that I got into on that. Um, but that's a game that not a lot of people know about, so I don't talk too much about it. But I really enjoyed that. And then Modern Warfare 2 is my favorite Call of Duty, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely my favorite. A lot of people hate on Advanced Warfare, but I really enjoyed it because it's very fast paced and it was just zoom in, which I love.
Hmm.
I mean, Destiny 2, I have so many hours in it, and I I get crap for this, but I think Year One Destiny 2 is better than a lot of what we have right now, as far as
Ooh.
content and as far as like the fun factor with the content that we have. I mean, the random rolls and stuff like that is clearly better, and the builds and whatnot, but um I miss actually using my gun to shoot things. I miss that. I would just shoot balls.
So yeah. So that's obviously. I think I've got it. What you've just mentioned in my next category, which was Destiny. But I do share that because I'm half a PvE player and half a PvP player. I like both, and I play both as equal amount of time. And Crucible's a nightmare. I'm just
I
putting it
hate
like that.
Crucible in this game. I
I love
hate it.
Crucible, and the gun balancing. I think what we have now is really good. It's just nobody uses it because it's just who can freeze the other person the quickest. But anyway, I'm not going to go into my rants about PvP in Destiny
Yeah.
because I've worn the ears off my community off about that
I
before.
Yeah, I definitely talk about it quite a bit as well. I mean, when it comes down to it, they wanted PvP in the game, so they added it in there, and it wasn't necessarily meant to be like a major like feature of the game of Destiny. But it turned out to be like a pretty large portion of the community.
Mm,
So they have to continue to cater to that. And games that typically cater to both don't really do as well because it's very hard to balance them both separately.
yeah,
And I personally think that it's just, I feel like Destiny just has way too much cheese. There's just way too many cheesy builds and loadouts, and just way too much that you can use. Um, that just kind of takes away from the PvP experience for the most part.
yeah,
And if I wanted to get into PvP games again, I'd play Warzone, I'd play Valorant, I'd play, some of these other games that are strictly PvP because they can focus on exactly that.
yeah. Well,
But
I spend one night a week. Me, well, me. I've got an older son who's left home, but him and his
Mhm.
brother we team up with a friend and we do quads on Warzone one night of the week, usually Friday night, and I just have a laugh. Just like you say, it's just PvP, going in and playing Warzone and having a laugh with the kids. It's I find it a lot more
Yeah,
less frustrating than jumping into Crucible or Trials or wherever I head.
yeah, definitely. I think I definitely think that the gun skill in Destiny is the thing that got me into it. So, I never played Destiny 1 as most people know that know me at least. I never played Destiny 1. I was never into Halo because I was a Call of Duty guy, and they were just too opposite that I just couldn't get used to it. I couldn't like it, and I just didn't play it. And I initially got into Destiny 2 because a really good friend of mine, Miss Pinkies, she got me into Destiny 2. She's like, "You want to play a game that's pretty grindy and you want to shoot some aliens? You should play Destiny 2." So I started playing Destiny 2, and as soon as I got on there and I started using the different weapons, I was like, "Holy crap! This is fun."
Yeah,
This is something that I've missed is just like shooting aliens in the face, pretty much. I was like, "This is super super fun." So I just started grinding it out, and then I basically just got hooked, and then I started learning more and more about the game, and I didn't know what strikes were until a month into playing the game. I grinded out public events, heroic public events. Oh god, that was a disaster. And then at 2 months into the game, I learned what raids were, so I started doing raids. I did prestige nightfall helps and all of that. I was in different LFGs, and I've done many, many, many different raids, and I've since fallen off because I just feel like the game is not what it used to be in year one. Year one was it was just there wasn't like a lot of extra things which allowed you to focus on, in my opinion, the important thing, which was the general gunplay.
mm,
And even though loot is a very necessary part of a looter shooter, I do think that if you have a really good meta for sandbox, that can help carry content a little bit more. Because if something is fun to just go kill stuff, it doesn't matter what you do as long as you're just having fun killing stuff. And then, the perfect recipe would be you have fun killing stuff that also gives you loot.
yeah,
So I mean, you have a reason to do it, but you also have fun doing it in general. So it doesn't like it feels like you're actually playing a game. Um, Whereas a lot of what Destiny 2 has been doing recently, it feels more of a chore. Like it feels like you have to do this, you have to do that, and it's not like, hey, do this if you want to. It's like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. Um, and I feel like they've kind of gotten away from that a little bit, which I know they're trying to make it more into an MMO, but I feel like it's struggling.
yeah. The one thing that I so one thing that puts me off. I enjoy playing it and I love playing with the friends that I have a laugh doing it, raiding. It's I don't know. It's just the power grind each time.
Yep.
It's just it's boring because if I want to level up to play trials at the weekend, then I have to play stuff I don't like. Now, don't get me wrong, Gambit was great when it come out, but it's a bit, and it's because people know how to just blitz it. So unless you're with a good team, it takes a longer because sometimes you don't win as many. Some of the other stuff is stuck like Pinnacles are stuck behind the dungeons. If you're a solo player, yeah, you can solo it, but it's difficult and sometimes it's not as enjoyable dying and dying and dying. And but you're doing it because there's an enforced power increase.
Right.
That's my gripe with it because we even though you've got obviously new battlegrounds, it's something new. You've got the helm, you've got this, that, and the other. It all comes back down to we have to do these free matches of Crucible, free strikes, free Gambit matches.
It's a
To,
checklist, is all it is.
it is, and yeah, and so yeah,
I
and
don't like that. That's something that I just really disenjoy, I guess. I don't like that you literally pull out the checklist. It's like, okay, what do I have to do this week? well, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this. Okay, done with this. I should do this before I do that. And it's just, it feels like it literally feels like a chore, and you shouldn't have to do that in a video game. Um, and I think that it's a pretty big topic in the community right now is power. Power literally is irrelevant at this point. It they literally just need to remove the power level altogether. They should just focus on the loot aspect of the game and give you different incentives to do the different activities. If you don't want that incentive, if you don't want that loot, that reward, then don't play that activity. Or play it if you enjoy it and don't care about the loot. Either way,
Yeah.
like it's fine, right?
Yeah.
And they can still create these more difficult enemies, right, without having to fixate them to power level, unless that is their reason for being able to make more difficult enemies is because of that power itself. But I feel like you can just like make the same enemy and just like jack his health up, or like I don't know. I feel like
Yeah.
they would
I
be able
know
to
what you're saying.
develop like, right? So it's like, is that number important for like development and difficulty? Is it necessary for them to do that? I doubt it, but I don't know anything about game dev, so I kind of just start spiraling and talking about random stuff and probably have no idea what's going on. And but um it just feels like a lot of that stuff is just kind of irrelevant. I don't think that you should be able to just blow through end game pinnacle activities like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Specifically like the raid. The raid should literally be one of the most difficult activities that reward some of the best loot in the game, period. It's I you definitely you do want to have that segue to introduce people into those and have them experience that part of the game, but there also needs to be that more difficulty factor as well.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I appreciate about Final Fantasy, how they have it set up is they have a like a normal raid where it's like people, they randomly queue into it. There's a story fixated to it, of course, but they randomly queue into it. It's just you don't really have to like be like a top tier gamer whatsoever. You could literally just be your average Joe Schmo, and like you're expected to, just do a normal raid. It's like there's mechanics, but it kind of like holds your hand through it. But then there's also a savage tier, which basically says, okay, you better find a fire team, or you better find a full party of 8 people, and you guys are going to have to develop strats. You guys are going to have to, learn your rotations to be able to do the optimal amount of damage. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to defeat the activity and things like that. And that's something that you just don't see in Destiny 2. And I think that's something that would be really, really nice. I just don't understand how raids are easier than nightfalls. I
Yeah.
don't. Like you're expected to do night farms in a farming fashion, and they're more difficult than a raid that you're expected to do once a week. And I don't get that. They spend more time on raids than anything else, but they're still, one of the easiest things to do. And it's just I don't understand that. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
I feel like they should be like kind of putting that a little bit higher up, and incentivizing people to actually do that more. But I don't know. I'm just a salty PvE player.
So we've segued into the Destiny category now. So you've said why you've got interested into Destiny through a friend.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I ask everyone that comes on this question. So, what wow moment sticks in your mind from Destiny? So it could be your first raid clear, it could be cinematic, it could be something that's happened. What sticks in your mind is that wow?
Oh god. I should answer the first solo Argos clear, but that's actually not like a wow. I was actually super disappointed when that happened. If anybody has ever watched my video of it, which I'll get back into the question, but if anybody ever watched my video at the end when I finally got the kill, I was like, woo, "Woo, poggers, let's go!" But it wasn't like a screaming, like, "Yeah, let's go, dude!" Yeah, like
Yeah.
I wasn't overly hype, and it's because anybody that was following my journey on that might understand. But I put many, many hours into that strat crafting and figuring out damage and all of this and all of that. And when the Whisper came out, I was like, okay, so damage might actually be possible. And then the Whisper Catalyst came out, and I was like, okay, damage is possible at this point, and it's basically just a grind of like you just have to be perfect. And then the week before Forsaken dropped, they changed Whisper box breathing to whispered breathing.
Yeah.
And a lot of OGs might not remember that, but Whisper the Worm actually had box breathing as its original perk. And the week before Forsaken, they changed it to whispered breathing. And it had a artificial buff with it. And it was doing like 65% increased damage as opposed to like 30% or whatever it was. So you were doing way more damage. And it made it way easier to get the kill.
Yeah.
And I felt like I cheated it,
Right.
which is why I wasn't overly enthused about the kill. Right. I was happy that I was the first one because I put a lot of hours into it. And it was my first major achievement in the game. And kind of got me like more on the radar of people like, holy crap, you know. And it kind of helped, you know, segue into where I am now. But for me personally, I was just like, I felt like I cheated a little bit because of that by itself. So my first actual wow moment was probably my solo Argos kill on a hunter.
Mm.
Because that one was, I didn't use any safe spots. I didn't do double shield breaks or anything like that. It was just a 4 break kill. And the amount of time that I invested into that activity and that challenge, and you couldn't really mess up either, and he didn't have survivability while doing DPS. Once I got that completion, I was like, okay, wow, that was tough.
Yeah.
Um, so that's probably that. I mean, experiencing the Whisper mission was a big wow thing for me because I've never experienced anything like that before. Right. I know that was
Yeah.
a thing in Destiny 1 where there was those secret missions and things like that. But in Destiny 2, that was never something that we ever had. So that
No.
was definitely a massive experience for me. Just like that secret mission, I was like, dude, this is amazing. This is so
Yeah.
cool. Um, but a lot of it is just like challenges, honestly, in general.
Yeah. Well, as you've said that, it does lead on to my next question. And I've written it down. You've done many challenges. That was the first
Mhm.
line. So you have done many challenges. So, like you say, you solo thingy, and you've done 2 or 3 man of certain raid bosses with Glad or whoever has been with you. You've been involved when the community puzzles have come about, like Corridors of Time and Raid Secrets have all been in them. You've been there helping. Uh, what when you do these things, is it just something that pops into your head? Oh, I might try that, or do you sit down, look at the game, look at what's there, and think, I might try and, or I think that could be done. I may try and do that.
Both. A little bit of both, yeah. So usually what happens is because once I started like dabbling into challenges, like my entire view of raids and everything completely shifted. Right. So now when I start doing things, it's immediately okay, how can you capitalize on this to do it with fewer people?
Yeah.
Um, and one of the big reasons why I enjoy challenges so much is because you have to dissect everything and understand how everything works so that you're able to efficiently do whatever you need to, right?
Mm.
So for example, we didn't know that 2-man insurrection prime was possible. So we went into 3-man insurrection prime right away. It was me, Glad, and Sweat. We hopped in there and we 3-manned it, and then we're like, okay, We're like the only way that you can two-man it is if you find adjoining allies, because that's essential for the timer to get rid of the timer, the ionized, I think it was.
Yeah.
Was it ionized? Yeah, ionized debuff to
Yeah.
get rid of that. So you have to find adjoining allies to get rid of that. And then once we found that, it was just like it's kind of like a puzzle that you start piecing together as you're completing it, right? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, what is the first hurdle? A lot of people immediately go to damage, and it's like, well, most of the time you can figure out the damage. Most of the time, that's not a big issue. If you can 6-man in one phase, you can likely 2-man in 3 phases. Not
Mm.
always, but that's usually the case in a lot of scenarios. So I was like, well, that's not normally the issue. Now, real quick, the Deepstone Crypt boss, it was like the opposite. It was like, well, there's a lot of issues to get the DPS, but there's just no way you're going to do the damage right now. And then, of course, Salty Greppo, freaking figured out how to do the shotgun swap inside of a well and like being able to do the damage. And it's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
now that the damage is there, you got to figure everything out. So that one kind of worked backwards. But usually it's how do you get to damage? And then how do you do the damage? And now how do you get to damage consistently to be able to do the damage that you need to? You just kind of piece it all together. And I really, really enjoy that aspect. And that's one of the things that kind of makes me love the raids and the mechanics and the encounters that we have. Is they have that type of stuff. One of the things I don't like about Spire of Stars is you don't have that luxury, right? You
No.
have to have 5 people. You need 1 person on each plate, and you need 1 person to go up. So you needed 5 people to complete that, and I didn't really enjoy that. Pretty much everything else, you can kind of just 3-man, 2-man it, right?
Yeah.
And then once we get in there and we 2-man it, it's like, okay, can we do better? Can we optimize our damage, right? And a lot of this is all like happening while we're trying to get the first clear. And then as we get that first clear, it's like, okay, so now that we got the clear out of the way, we got that pressure off our back. Now we can kind of go back into it and see, can we do it in fewer phases, right? Can we change things around to make it better, make it easier, and things like that. And then we do it on different characters typically as well. This last raid, I wasn't really enjoying it all that much. I was a little disappointed from the raid. It's a beautiful raid. It's amazing raid. It's visually one of my favorite raids. My favorite part of the entire raid itself is the jumping puzzle.
Yes.
The song Deepstone Lullaby is just so
Mm.
good. But the raid itself, I wasn't a huge fan of it. And it's really, really unfortunate because I know a lot of people really like it. And I'm just like, it's basically 3 mechanics that kind of just like cycle through the entire raid, and it doesn't really feel like difficult necessarily.
Yeah.
And once you figure out the core mechanic, it's like, okay, now we just execution and it's over. So I didn't really like it that much. So I kind of lost a lot of motivation. And that's why a lot of people have been seeing Glad doing challenges with other people, because I just kind of I fell off on this raid. I just didn't enjoy it that much.
Yeah.
I did get my 2-man clear, but it wasn't like a big deal or anything like that. We did get the 3-man flawless though. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I guess the big thing is just like the puzzle of figuring it out, and then how can you optimize that challenge, and then how could you like make it better.
So, with obviously saying challenge and figuring out puzzles, one of the things was obviously the corridors of time, the big community event puzzle, whatever you want to call it. So,
Yeah.
you're the first person I've been able to talk to that was involved with that as it was developing. So
Yep.
what did you think about it? Where after it had finished, and obviously you've had time to reflect and think back of, what did you think about it?
It was awesome altogether. it was like just such an amazing experience. It really was. It really got the entire community involved, which I think is the best part. And I know when we were doing that, there was a lot of like Reddit threads and stuff like that saying that people were like locking, like there was just so much drama around it, and like people are saying that they weren't able to contribute. And it's like, well, you can't have too many hands in the cookie jar, otherwise it just doesn't end out very well, right?
Yeah,
Like if you put too many hands in at once, then everything just gets it won't get done at that point.
yeah,
Um, and literally just by contributing like screenshots and stuff like that, you're helping. So, but it got the entire part of the entire community together. People from PvP, people from PvE, Sherpas. It got people that were completely under the radar. It got raid secrets, obviously. It got streamers. It got people that worked full time jobs. It got people that were um, very minimal gamers, but were extremely talented in things that were involved in that actual activity.
yeah,
Like, making scripts and stuff like that, for example. It just got so much community involvement. And that was one of my favorite parts, was just meeting so many different people. Um, I mean, literally 90% of it, 95% probably, was just spreadsheets.
yeah,
Which is crazy. Like, one of the most poppin' times on all of Destiny 2 was just spreadsheets. The most successful week that I've ever had in my stream was just spreadsheets. Listening to music, jamming, talking to people, just looking at freaking hexagons and just typing in a spreadsheet. And I think that is just so crazy, that something like that could just be so impactful. And it was because it was just like it was a big puzzle, and we love puzzles. That's literally what Destiny is. It's just a bunch of different puzzles that we figure out. And
yeah,
this was the biggest puzzle that they've ever given us. And there was a lot of lore behind it as well. I mean, Saint 14, the first time that we encountered Saint 14 and everything, and the Quarters of Time was just phenomenal. It was just a beautiful area,
yeah.
play space and everything. And of course, the reward was by far the worst part of the entire thing.
Well, yeah, because
If
there've
they
been
put up,
there've been leaks that it was going to be Razorlight or the exotic swords or whatever it was.
it wasn't a leak. It was literally just like on the coffin, I think it was,
There
there
was a
was like a
sword.
sword or
Yeah.
something like that. So people were like, "Oh my god, it's gonna be an exotic sword," and this is before we got Fallen Guillotine. So we're like, it's gonna be Dark Drinker, it's gonna be Rise Light, or
Mm.
whatever it's called, and. and like so many people were so excited it was going to be an exotic sword, and I was like, yes, let's go. And then we got it. It was the Bastion, and people are just like, oh my god. I still remember, I'm in Evan's video. If you watched Evan's video about this, he
Yeah, I
literally
have.
took
Yeah.
the part where I redeemed it, and it gave me the Bastion. I deleted it. I switched to my going offline. Thank you for watching stream, and I said, I'm going to bed. Or no, I said, I'm done. And my voice was just completely defeated,
Yeah.
mixed with tiredness, because I put in like 140 hours that week or something. Is just I slept 3 hours every single night, and that's all I slept. And I was like working on it the entire time. Otherwise, it was just ridiculous.
It, it was a
Um,
super effort by all of you. Like
right.
I was flicking between you, Glad, Hotlight, and
Hmm.
and don't get me wrong, I'll hold my hands up. You guys are mentioning spreadsheets and oh, there's a slight pattern with this, and this goes there, and some of it just went straight over the top of my head. But I enjoyed watching you guys trying to figure it out.
See, the thing is, like, I'm not very tech savvy. We were talking about this before stream, and I'm not very tech savvy. I'm not like an Excel spreadsheet master or anything like that. Like, I know, like, maybe the average amount, or maybe just a little bit above average. That's about it.
Hmm.
But like, I'm very creative on things, and I'm very analytical on things. So this is where one of my sayings started to come in, is I'm going rogue, because the biggest issue we had throughout the entire thing was we just didn't really have any leadership. right?
Right.
Which is difficult on something that's completely unexpected with so many different people, right? And
Yeah.
it's just like it was very difficult to have like that organization and leadership. And every time I was trying to do something, it just wasn't like I wasn't getting a good answer that was explaining anything. And I'm just like, you know what, dude? So I just copied the spreadsheet. I made my own and I just started doing my own thing. And then I would just come over with like 30 different transcribed things. I'm like, here you go. Good luck.
Yeah.
And like I would just start making my own things and tweaking different stuff. And I'm like, how can I make this like I'm okay with putting in an extra 30 minutes right now to save 5 hours, 10 hours, over the extent of this entire thing because I knew it wasn't going to be something short.
Yeah.
So I would like expand the spreadsheet to actually make it easier, right? Like one of the things I did was instead of transcribing every single picture, why not have a way to decipher to let you know and flag if it is a possible dupe, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be transcribing 20 of the same picture or like dupes across different people that submitted different pictures or whatever. So
Mm.
like, why not have a way to flag and see if it is actually a dupe or not, instead of just throwing everything in there? And it was just like this. There's just so much involved in it, and it was just so crazy. And so many different people, of course, contributed and just expanded off of it, made it even better, and made it easier. And yeah, it was definitely a very interesting time. With that being said, though, as much fun as it is in the moment, it does absolutely nothing for longevity of, playing the game itself.
Yeah.
It's like a brief fun memory and a fun time, but that's it. So in that aspect, as much as I enjoy those activities and enjoy those big community puzzle events, I can definitely understand how there really isn't a large amount of people that do actually get involved physically, right? There's people that'll watch, there's people that'll support, there's people that'll, offer, guesses or ideas and things like that.
Mm.
But once it's solved, it's solved. So then, like, after that, it's just like, okay, like Neobe Labs was another one, right? Neobe Labs is once you complete the puzzle, you get like an emblem and a ghost
Yeah.
shell or something like that.
Yeah.
So the content is literally figuring it out. The content isn't what you unlock. The content is the process of unlocking it.
Yeah.
And as much as I enjoy that process, I would personally rather them put those efforts towards um these new hidden quests. These are amazing. They're amazing.
Yeah.
Right? You just throw these
Yeah.
little hidden quests in there with, hidden things that you figure out and stuff like that. And I think that is much better because it adds longevity to the game itself as far as you actually do the activity, you know. Whereas the other one, you do it once, you're done. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, it was a good time. So I hope that they start to implement more of these, which it looks like they are.
Yeah. You're right. It does look like that's the direction that they're heading, which, like you say, it's good because you've done it. You've got the scout rifle, but there's something else going to happen. So there's replayability because obviously, well, for one, there's the. I think this is why they've implemented the one random perk on the Hawk Moon and on the new scout rifle.
Mhm.
So you
It
go
has the
back,
replayability.
yeah, but also they've got the scope of, like we were discussing earlier. There's so many different doors. There could be so many different things. Like you said, it's looking like it's going to head to somewhere else near the end. So the it's the a good direction they're headed in. Is what I'm trying to spit out my mouth. For some reason, I couldn't talk then.
Yeah.
uh, but they're heading in the right direction. It's a lot better
I still
than
have a lot of critiques about it though. I'm still completely against the drip feed, and I'm completely against time gating content. I hate that so much.
yeah,
Because again, it feels like a chore. It feels like every single week if you want to keep up to date on the lore, every single week you have to log on, you have to do the activity, right?
Yeah.
And if you miss a week, do you fall behind or can you catch up? And if you can catch up, why would you just not play until the end of the season? It doesn't make sense. It feels like the entire thing that they're doing right now is they're just saying, hey, the people that do play will give you a little bit here and there. But if you just want to come back at the end of the season, you can just do it all and then, and you'll be good. So
Yeah.
why do I play right away at launch when it's pretty much you just do the same activities over and over and over, and then you just have to wait for everything else? I don't like that. The analogy I use all the time is imagine ordering a big steak dinner where you have some mashed potatoes and you have some, asparagus or whatever on the side. And imagine them bringing, cutting up that steak in front of you and then bringing it back to the kitchen and then just bringing you one piece of steak at a time.
Yeah.
So you literally have to eat your steak one bite at a time instead of just eating however you want to. And I would much rather them give me my entire meal and I can pick and choose what I want to do and how I want to do it. And if I want to blow through it in a week, then that's my fault. I blew through it in a week. But now I know that, hey, if I do want to go play other games, like I'm not going to be distracted. I can just go, and indulge in a different game if I want to. So
Yeah.
I don't know,
Well,
that's one of the big reasons why I don't stay engaged with the lore is I can't be I have way too small of an attention span to have to rely on constant weekly lore drops.
yeah.
If I could just like play through the story and actually experience the story as it's happening, like all in one sitting, I'm much more likely to actually be engaged with that story.
Mm. Yeah.
I feel like the reason why people should continue to play activities throughout the season is because of loot. I don't like how they're just drip feeding everything. But they clearly want to go this route, and that's what they're going to continue to do.
Yeah. Well, they've set the plans out for the next, however many years, another 2 years. So I don't think there's going to be much deviation away from how it is at the moment. I can't see them completely changing it, but who knows? It's Bungie.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very big topic I've been talking about almost every single stream. Is I feel like they are listening, they hear the things we're saying, but they have a very direct direction that they're taking the game and that they want to take the game, and they're going to continue to go in that direction, and they're going to continue to do that, which is perfectly fine. Like that's their, it's your game. You can finally make it how you want to, so by all means do it. But I just feel like they're getting way more negative feedback than they are positive feedback from doing different things that they're doing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. It does.
So I do think that there's a lot of things that they do need to adjust if they really want to get the player base back on track with where we all were 2 years ago in Forsaken, because there's so many people that have just jumped ship right now. There's so many people that there's just too much negativity, and even though this season does have a lot of good with it, it still doesn't change all of the bad that's it's still the game itself has.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm going to continue to play because I love the game, of course. But
Yeah.
We all know the potential, and the potential is higher than what they can achieve, sadly.
Well, I suppose it's a case of watch this space.
Mm-hmm.
So, quick fire round.
Mm-hmm.
I do this with all my guests. So I'll say something or something, and you just have to pick one. So the first one is Crucible or Gambit.
Gambit.
Exotic weapons or war mine cells.
Oh God. War mine cells.
I knew you were gonna. That's why I put it there.
They're just so good, man. They're just so fucking good. Like
Yeah,
actually, one of my favorite builds just doesn't have an exotic weapon, so I guess yeah, Warman cells.
yeah,
But there's so many good exotic potentials as well, so that's a good one.
yeah,
But I think Warman cells are just way better than any exotic weapon,
yeah.
like individually.
They just blow everything up, don't they?
Oh,
It's
I don't know how they made it past playtesting.
well,
Like if they literally would have said, "Yo, Chevy, can you playtest this and let us know what you think?" And I would have put on global reach with the Warman cell, and I would have shot one and cleared an entire room. I would have been like, "Dude, I love this, but there's no way that this can ship because this is just absurd."
yeah,
Like you just killed. There's no limit on how many enemies you can kill. It's just the radius and the
yeah.
amount of damage you do, and that's the big thing. And also, your balls make more balls.
They do.
It's crazy, so crazy. But yeah, Warman cells.
So, Saint 14 or Lord Saladin?
What? I mean, I'm gonna have to go Lord Saladin. Is it? He's a Titan, isn't he?
They're both Titans, yeah.
Oh my god! He literally picked two of the worst of everything.
It's meant to be a little
Lord,
bit difficult.
Lord Saladin because he's not around as much.
Fair enough. The Traveller or the Darkness?
The darkness, dude. I think the Traveler is freaking sus, man. I've been saying this for a long time. I think the Traveler is actually sus, and I think we're gonna freaking take a 9-iron to that Traveler and freaking hit it off to oblivion.
Yeah, it could be a plot twist. You
Yeah,
never
that's
know.
what I'm saying. I literally think that we're gonna end up finding out the truth that the darkness was actually here to prevent the traveler from doing something and was actually had good intentions but ended up having to do a collapse instead. And I think we end up causing the second collapse and we actually freaking destroy the traveler and cause the second collapse because of what it is doing.
Hmm.
I'm telling you.
Hmm. Hmm.
Lightfall is literally like I'm telling you, next season we're gonna learn another subclass that's gonna be like necrotic or something plague related, right? Or not next season, next year, with
Yeah.
Witch Queen, and then we're gonna learn a third one, which is gonna be something gravitational, or something like that in Lightfall, and that is gonna be us taking down the Traveler. Telling you, man.
Right, you heard it here first. Or second of. But no, that's good. Uh, Watching Netflix or watching Twitch?
Twitch, mostly, definitely Twitch.
Action films or horror films?
Action,
Mouse and keyboard or controller?
mouse and keyboard, 100%.
Burger and fries or pizza?
Burger and fries.
Hmm.
Oh, I might get crap for that one. Yeah, burger and fries. I just love a juicy burg.
Yeah,
I just love a juicy burg. It's just so good. I don't even
yeah.
care about the fries. Just give me the burger. You can keep the fries.
Right, so we're going to go on to the last category for this evening, which is streaming. Obviously, it's what you do.
Hmm.
But just Supernatural, thank you for gifting Empress Jadis that sub. So thank you for that. So streaming. So how did you get into streaming?
Actually, my very first stream was the Aspire of Stars World's first race. And I think we got 7th or 8th or something like that. First time we ever tried it. But that was the first time that I ever streamed Destiny, and it was only because of the race purposes and a little bit of a I don't want to say it's a hot take, but I think that if we would have kept our entire team the entire time, I think we would have beat Redeem to World's First.
Yeah.
But Fami, for anybody that knows Redeem, Fami is also in Redeem. He only set a couple hours aside because he thought that World's First was going to be like 3 hours or something, and he had to go to work or class or something. So we ended up having to replace him after a couple hours, and we had to reteach the replacement,
Yeah.
and then he didn't work out, so we had to grab another sub. And I honestly think that we could have possibly gotten that world's first if we would have kept family the entire time, because we were on a rhythm. We were zooming.
Yeah.
But and then after that, how I actually got into it, because I didn't really stream after that much, how I actually got into it was I started doing my solo Argos attempts and stuff like that, and everything was off stream. Everything was offline. I did a bunch of damage testing. I busted out a spreadsheet to figure out all of the damage numbers, to figure out exactly how much I needed to do for each damage phase, what weapons did how much damage, and I literally mathed out what I needed to do specifically in order to get the kill. And the first theoretical possible but just basically impossible strat was just, it was absurd. It was like getting multiple striking hands using 2 craniums
Yeah.
and shooting all of my Darcy ammo, and it was just like, okay, like I could see how this is possible, but there's no way that this is happening. um and then eventually the Whisper came out, and I was actually getting consistent with a little bit of damage and breaking and stuff. So then people are like, "Oh, you should stream it. You should stream it. I want to watch." And I was like, "All right." So I started streaming a little bit more here and there, and then I basically just kept going. Got affiliate, so I just kept on trucking along, um, and then from there it basically just continued. So World's First Spire of Stars was my first stream, and then I streamed here and there on great occasion a couple times over the next couple months, and
Yeah.
then the attempts are what kind of got me consistent in streaming.
And I'm sure you said earlier, so it was 2013? Was it 2013? You said you
For
started?
Twitch, yeah.
Yeah. So, wow, that's
Mhm.
well, just over 7 years now. Wow.
It
That
was, it
is.
was right after the Justin TV shenanigans is when I started watching Twitch.
So, what was your original setup when you first started for streaming?
What was my original setup?
Yeah. So, were you just streaming straight from a
Oh, God, what was it?
console, or was it from a PC or a laptop?
It was
Or
it was a PC, because I was always a PC gamer over like the last 6-7 years, and I started streaming about coming up on 3 years ago is when I started streaming, because like I said, Spire of Stars. So that was 2018. I think around April, maybe. I actually don't
yeah,
remember when that was. I think it was around April, if I remember. But anyways, I had a PC, so literally the streaming PC that I've been using over the last couple years was the PC that I used to solo stream on. So I've had that thing for a long time. So I just had a one PC setup. I had 2 monitors and all my gamer stuff pretty much. I had
yeah.
a snowball mic, I think it was. Just had a L desk, which was horrible. And nothing too crazy.
So, what's the journey been like? Where from when you first started with your first follower to
Hmm.
now, obviously Twitch partner and 61.4 thousand followers. I'd like to say that I remember that, but I've just pulled it up in front of me. But what's the journey
It's
been
been a
like?
journey. It's been a journey. Um, I guess one of the big factors that I had that got me to actually start streaming more, because there's streaming and then there's actually streaming more consistently. One of the major factors, and I say this all the time, was freaking Glad. Because of course I knew Glad before he started to blow up on Twitch and everything. Like, he was still a streamer partner and everything.
Yeah,
But he was literally the one that he literally called me an idiot. He'd literally, like, we would talk in DMs and stuff. I was his, before he started like getting all the JoJo emotes and everything. I was one of his emote guys that he would go to help find emotes and stuff like that. So all of those
yeah.
old emotes that he had that he uploaded, those are emotes that me and him have found and put on the channel. So we're really good friends for a long time. And he basically just said, "Dude, I gotta talk to you." I'm like, "What's up?" He's like, "You're an idiot." I'm like, "What the hell?" He's like, "You're literally such an idiot. Such a good opportunity right now." and you're just completely dropping the ball. He basically gave me a major reality check.
Yeah.
Is what he did. He's like, you're completely dropping the ball. You're totally fucking up, and you should be streaming more. And I was like, dude, I'm working 50 hours a week, and I come home and I go to the gym, and then I come home and I game for a couple hours, and then I get off. He's like, dude, it doesn't matter. Like, just stream. And I was like, but I don't have anything to stream. He's like, it doesn't matter. Just click the damn button.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, dude, I'll click the button a little bit more. So he was like my first major push into like actually being more of an active streamer. And then it kind of just started growing from there. I started getting more followers here and there. And I was like, holy crap, this is kind of crazy. And then as I started getting closer to the solo Argos, it was like I was getting closer to like the partnership numbers and everything. I'm like, holy crap, dude, this is crazy. This is nuts. I was like, I've never, ever, ever, ever would have expected this to happen. And one of the people I've known for the longest on the internet is Pinky's. She's probably in chat. I remember talking to her and a good friend Adula and saying that if I ever became a partnered streamer, I would have some of the coolest meme emotes. I would have like all of these emotes that I could use all over the place and just like a bunch of memes that everybody would love. And just like actually being able to do that is just one of my proudest one of my, I don't want to say proudest, but one of my happiest feelings is just having the capability to be able to do that. And that's thanks to, of course, all the people that support me.
Yeah.
And then what kind of continued to push me was just people saying, yo, I love that you're streaming and thank you for giving me a place to like hang out. And just like those type of messages are just like reasons why you continue to stream and why you keep like clicking the button more and more. Right.
Yeah.
But those are pretty big. Those are pretty important for me. And of course, they just keep motivating me, which just helps me continue to click the button as much as I can. And saying all of this the last 2 or 3 months here, it's been pretty bad because I've been having some medical related issues. Nothing serious, but that's been preventing me from clicking the button as much. But pretty soon here, I'm going to be back on that grind.
Yeah.
But the journey has just been insane. I mean, I've always done networking without the intention of networking, right? And that is a very big part of expanding your community that I think a lot of people miss out on. Is don't just host and then dip out. Obviously, if you have stuff to do, if you have to go to work, if you like have to go to bed and everything, that's understandable. But if you're able to hang out with the people that you host their communities, that goes a long ways because it shows that you actually care. And you're not just trying to drop them off and maybe get a shout out or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. But stuff like that. But I've always just, if you ever have opportunity to jump around and hang out in different people's chats, definitely do that as well. And meet new people, play with different people, stuff like that. And it just basically, I just hung out with other people and they just continued to support me. And I don't know why people watch me, but they do.
Well,
I just say some of the stupidest stuff and I just have no agenda ever. And I'm just like, I don't know why you guys watch me. I just say I can't English half the time anyways.
Well, that leads into the next question of why people watch you, and that'll be your
dude, I don't know.
that'll be your community. They're the ones that come and watch you each day.
Mm-hmm.
How would you describe your community? I know there's I've seen quite a few of the names pop up today. But yeah, how would you describe your community?
Nuts. Literally just think of just like a bag of nuts, and that's them because they're nuts. They're pretty awesome. There's people that I've had for a long time and been around for a long time. There's people that are newer that are extremely loyal, I would say, but supportive in general. And it's just crazy. They know me very well, and I think it's pretty funny. But for my birthday, they know me so well actually that for my birthday, as a community, they came together to raise money in order to pay for a trip to Tomorrowland, if you're familiar with that.
I've heard of Tomorrowland. I just can't put my finger on what.
Tomorrowland is the largest music festival, EDM music festival in the world.
Right.
where there's like 150 countries that attend, and it's a very big deal, and people have heard me talk about it all the time, and I love music. It's such a big part of my life, and if I didn't have music, it would just be so bad. It'd be so rough. But they came together and got some money raised as a community to basically send me to Tomorrowland whenever COVID goes away. So
That's awesome. That
it's
is
amazing. Yeah,
awesome.
they're
Wow.
nuts. They're really nuts. I've met so many different people, and there's so many people that just lurk and hang out, and I appreciate the lurkers because even though they're not in chat, they're still there.
Yeah.
And one of the early things for any aspiring streamers, one of the early things that kind of like hit the deepest for me when I was like given like tips and stuff like that is just remember that there are people that are out there that would rather watch you than anybody else. And those are going to be your biggest motivators as to why you should click the button. Because there'll be
Hmm.
people that it doesn't matter who is streaming. If you click the button, they will stop watching that person and come watch you. And it might take a little time to get those people, but they are there. They're definitely there, and it's
Yeah.
it's crazy. I love clicking the button and then just seeing people immediately in chat. It's like, holy crap, that's nuts. That's so nuts. Like, there's people that just leave the chat open and they're there before I stream. They have conversations offline. I'm like, oh, okay, you guys need to go somewhere else. Get out of here. But just like little things like that, it means a lot.
Yeah.
Because of, I mean, they just support. Like, the support is just mind blowing. And when it comes down to it, I mean, I wouldn't be able to do what I do if it wasn't for them. And I would definitely love to be able to give back more. Um, so I'm gonna do my best to do that. And
Yeah.
if anything, as long as they have fun, that's the main thing.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
I mean,
So, as your channel's obviously grown, how important is it to have a team of mods and people that help you behind the scenes? And
it helps a lot. I don't think it's 100% necessary. I do have quite a bit of mods, but most of them are just people that have been around for a very long time that I trust. That if I need something, I'll be able to ask them and they got my back.
yeah,
But honestly, most of the modding I do myself, which can definitely be frustrating at times because trying to juggle commands and trying to juggle streaming and interacting and playing and all of that, turns out to be a lot. But I've been a mod for many years. I've been on Twitch for many years, so I know how to work it very well.
yeah,
Um, I also like things a very specific way. So like I feel bad when a mod's trying to help and then they like just throw together a quick command and I look at it, I'm like, ooh, that doesn't make any sense. I feel really bad because I know they have good intention, they're trying to help. And
yeah,
I'm like, let me just go ahead and rewrite that entire thing. Okay, that sounds better. It's like, well, I know you're trying to help, and I feel bad because, like I said, good intentions and everything, but I try to make sure that anytime there's like frequently asked questions and stuff like that, there's always commands. And it takes like 2 minutes for me to do, so it's like,
yeah,
I got it. But at the same time, if mods can help, it is a huge help as a streamer. Because as a streamer, you want to be able to focus on the game and chat, and when you have to do additional things, it definitely does become overwhelming. But you can still, I mean, you can definitely still do it.
yeah,
When it comes down to it, if you need them and you ask them and they're there for you, that's good enough.
yeah, definitely, definitely. So, very last question. Uh, so, what's your plans for the future with streaming? Have
As long
you?
as people will hang out, I'm going to continue to click the button. I basically said, as long as I can pay my bills, as long as I can afford to be able to do what I do here, and as long as people will continue to hang out and enjoy whatever I do, I will continue to do what I'm doing. I would love to continue to grow in the process. I've said that I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to it, but I don't have a goal that would be on the level of reaching somebody like XQC or Glad or anything like that, like having thousands of viewers.
Yeah.
Because even though it would be amazing from a, from a monetary standpoint, from a financial standpoint,
Yeah.
one of the things that I enjoy the most about streaming is being able to connect with the people that do come in. And I know I miss a lot of messages, and I know that I'm not as active as I used to be, but I try to interact as much as I can. And I don't want to get to the point where the only way that I can actually communicate with chat is just seeing messages spammed. So I'm pretty content on where we've been growing and where we've been. And I think a little bit more growth would be like kind of like the prime spot.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, I wouldn't be opposed to, I mean, if you have like 2,000 viewers consistently and you see a paycheck, you're like, okay, I'm happy. But it's just really nice being able to interact. And that's one of my favorite things about doing what I do.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, sir, a message just caught my eye on the chat from Mr. Grandad.
Grand. Yeah. In September 2020, Chevy missed one of my messages. Yeah, I mean, it definitely, one of the things that sucks for me is because I feel like I need to talk to my doctor or something, because I definitely feel like I have like ADHD or something. If I'm not completely jacked up on caffeine, I'm a literal zombie.
Yeah.
It's so bad. It's like anybody that's been watching like the last couple weeks can probably recognize, because I haven't had my G Fuel cans, right? But like I'm so much less interactive, and it's just like I don't do my long rants as much as I used to. Like right now, I'm way more talkative. Number one, because I'm just focused strictly on the podcast, but also because I've been chugging G Fuel on the side. So I'm definitely, I have much more pep in my step, if you will.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've become dependent on that caffeine, and it sucks, but it just makes it so much easier to
Yeah.
actually be able to. I need to talk to my doctor and be like, "Yo, I need you to fix me."
I'm the same. I have about 14, 15 cups of coffee a day.
Oh my god!
And
See, coffee doesn't do anything. It like imagine basically, dude, like my phone is plugged in, but it's like a super old charger, right? That basically it doesn't charge it, but it just keeps it like where you can use it. That's basically what
yes.
coffee does for me. It gives me enough energy to actually like function, but it doesn't like do anything for me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um,
I know. I know what you're saying. I've just,
like 14 cups of coffee. Oh my
I don't,
god.
I don't know if it's just got more habit now. But if I don't, so if I go on holiday, so if I go on holiday and I've not got the access to a kettle all the time, then I start
Mhm.
to feel really tired after a while, and I can feel it. I think it's a case of I'm gonna have to go. Like you said, I'm gonna have to go see to the doctor and say, please help me wean off
Right.
caffeine. So
Yeah.
that that is everything. That is all the categories done.
Let's
Uh,
go.
I'd like to obviously thank yourself for joining me this evening, and I'd like to thank everybody that's coming to chat, having a good laugh, and a lot of support shown towards yourself this evening. What we usually do. Oh, hang on. I'll best not miss this, otherwise he'll kill me. So, Grandad Gaming for the
Oh
69 bits.
yeah.
Thank you very much. Der2050, thank you very much for the follow. And yeah, I'm Courtney. Thank you very much for the follow.
Cordy.
So what we do at the end of these, we'll go raid out to another channel and we go show love and support like my community do for me, and obviously Chevy's community do for him. We go show some support for another streamer, and you see, I'm kind of stuck of where I'm going to go because there's lots of good streamers.
Yeah,
Um,
especially with the new mission. There's a lot of people.
yeah, Oh, wow. I don't know where to go. I think we're going to go see Addy.
Addie's pretty awesome.
So, thank you very much, Happy. She's put the raid command into the chat. So what we usually do is we copy and paste or copy that raid command, and we go in, and I know what Addie's like, she doesn't mind. You just go spam her chat with that raid command. Drop her follows, show love towards Addie, because she's a brilliant streamer, a wonderful person. I'm lucky to call her friend. And again, Chevy, thank you so much for coming and joining me this
Yeah,
evening.
thank you for having me.
I appreciate you giving up your time to do this evening.
It was a much needed break from the frustration that I'm going through with the PC, but so thank you for having me.
So let's click on that one and start that. Right. So, like I was saying, everyone, so thank you again for joining me for another episode of the podcast. These things wouldn't be able to happen without you guys coming and supporting it, and obviously my very special guests being so kind to join me for it and agree to come and talk to me. So we're going to go see Addy now. Intrepidus, thank you very much for the follow. I nearly missed that. Right, so everyone take care, stay safe, wherever you are in the world, whether it's the weather, the pandemic, whatever, please stay safe. And I will see you all back for, I don't know why, but PvP comp tomorrow night.
Oh, God.
So good night, everyone. Take care. I will see you later.